DFTW, yeah, you.
Technology doesn't make people better.
Interesting.
You know, and I don't think people think about it in those terms, which is fine.
I think about it more maybe like if you were an animal, you wake up, sun comes up, you're like, oh shit, another day. I should get some food. Maybe take.
It's not even asking. It's not even having inner dialogue. It's just doing the thing.
No, but what I'm saying, hold on. But what I'm saying is like, as an animal, you just wake up, you start doing the thing, you do all your shit, and then you go to sleep. I think as a human, we have this way of looking at it from another layer out, and it just provides a whole nother experience that I think animals don't even have any like any type of concept of, because they're a one-to-one. There's an ability to like observe and objectively respond, whereas I think an animalistic type nature is just kind of going with the environment. And I think maybe that's almost what this new ploy is to push us back down into like that state we talked about earlier that we didn't record, where it's like maybe a Neanderthal type, where you're like a caveman and all you want to do is like grunt and make fire and eat,
reactionary states.
Yeah, exactly. You're closer to an animal in that way. You're not really pontificating or building.
Well, the sad thing is, I mean, that's exactly what it is. I think if you lived out in the middle of like the Ozarks and you lived in a little house and you had to take care of yourself, you would probably have more time to think about nature in things raw element than you do as a modern man who has copious amounts of time, but we fill it with taking in, I think the kids call it brain rot, a bunch of bullshit. But if you're out there with your hands in the ground and you're feeling the sun on you and you're going through the day, your mind is going to go to so many more places than if you're just soaking in videos or listening to podcasts.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? So it's like.
So I think it's a gathering of that energy where it's almost like somehow. So back in the day, I'll give an example. Back in the day, there's a mining company, so they hired a bunch of guys to go mine coal out of a mountain. So guys had to go in the mountain, hit it with sledgehammer thingies, and bring the coal out. I think there's a digital element nowadays where by you being online, being on the social media, tapping on your phone, ordering this, playing Candy Crush or whatever it is, that it's sending that tap, 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 tap response signal to do something else.
Well, here's the deal, man. It doesn't matter if what you're saying is true or not. It's still happening. You're still tapping on the fucking screen into oblivion to, let's call it a non-real space that doesn't really affect your life except for in a negative way. I don't see what we can be getting positive out of those kinds of interactions. Maybe if you are doing everything you need to do and at the end of the day you play a game to unwind, fine.
Yeah.
I think you should.
Yeah.
Because I do believe that there is such a thing as games of chance and not just kind of like inflicting your will upon the world. Sure. Acting as the man.
Predetermined states or, like servitude or something.
Well, just like games of chance, something that's more dreamlike in nature. But I don't think people use these things moderately. It's like it is forming you, and it probably is preparing you for something different down the road. I learned that like a pre-programming. Yeah, like what is that called, man?
That's something like an involuntary uptake or whatever. They're just like they're around it, so they take they just like it basically.
Yeah, and it happens all the time. Like, I'll listen to music, and I'm like, man, this song sucks, bro. And then, 3 months into the summer, I'm singing every single word of it. And I was like, what? How do I like Taylor Swift now, bro? And it's like, you don't like Taylor Swift. You just heard it a billion times.
Yeah, you've been indoctrinated into its presence in your fucking life. And that's really what all the technology is, and why I'm saying that the only way back is to bring the community back down to a reasonable level where right now you're having a party with like 1,000 people. You're never going to be able to have a social engagement in one party with that many people to any like really good degree. And then not only that, think about all the resource that takes up. And if you're not even getting to hang with all the people, it's kind of a waste of that resource, you know? But somebody would say, no, the bigger the party, the cooler you are and the more blah, 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 blah. But I say, bring it back to the truth, the real shit. How many people can you actually interact with at a fucking party? And that's how many you should have there. And if you have more, cool. And if you have less, cool. But don't bullshit yourself and say that it's something else. But then
I think at sizes like that, it becomes more about consumption. Like you're feeding off the party.
You're fucking right. No, you're right. Because I have been to music festivals, and that's all it is this like
it's entertainment.
It's like surge of humanity, you know? Blah,
yeah.
Just like full blast.
There's not as much. That level of participation moves when it's more intimate, you know, versus
you're right.
the larger crowd.
No, you are definitely right there.
You know, and I tend to, I think, you know, we were meant to do certain things and live in certain ways and have certain shared belief structures and stuff, you know? And I don't even think people know what that means anymore. It kind of becomes waves of virtue that are important this week. You know, like, can we please draw things back into reality where we talk about what's actually happening? I think what are you actually doing?
Yeah, I think we just have to have those spaces be brought back, because when you do them online, there's so little on your end, so little put down on your end that you could just flip through, scroll, go on your phone. You're not really there. But if you're at somewhere and you're scrolling through your phone, like a comedian or something, they're going to point at you and be like, yo, do you want to leave? What's the point here of you being here if you're going to be on your phone? But if you're just on your couch, you're like, oh, watching Netflix, and I'll scroll my phone, and I'll cook a pizza, well, it's just that if you, like back in the day, if you could have overstimulation, you would have had overstimulation too.
Oh, well, shit, yeah, but I didn't. I had a big-ass TV that we had to share, and God forbid there was something on that one of the adults wanted to watch when the thing came on that I wanted to watch, because there was no, it's going to come on again. I mean, maybe it would, and we didn't know that eventually you can just have everything. You fucking missed it.
That was the thing. That was the total. You talking about FOMO and all that bullshit from nowadays? Talk about missing a show. You sweat bullets. You were like, oh my God, my bus
If you didn't watch X-Men.
Well, but like the bus would be running late, and you're like looking at your watch. You're like, I gotta go. I gotta get home. The show.
Exactly.
But yeah, now you're just like, phone. Dial me up any show ever instantly. And if it takes more than 3 seconds to show me, fuck you.
I hate it.
I hate you, yeah.
I was watching a show with my daughter, and it was about some kids, and they were talking about, we want to get married, and they're, you know, right out of high school. What, are you pregnant? And then the next thing was like, what are you rushing to things for? Just go live together for a little while. To me, like, we're so backwards now in the things that we do that it's like nobody cares about anticipation. If they wanted to get married, that means that there's this like waiting period, and they're preparing themselves for the thing that they're going into, much like waiting to go to the fair. You know, it was awesome. And now when there's a fair that's just permanently set up, it lacks the value.
Oh,
go
good
to
call.
Disney World every single day and see if it's fucking cool anymore.
Or like having the availability to go like experience Christmas at a store instead of having to wait for it to get here in December, you know? Like
yeah,
it would ruin,
totally not the same thing.
Yeah, it would ruin Christmas if there was a thing called pre-Christmas where people participate in going to a store any day of the year, you know? It ruins the whole thing because people don't set up, they don't have the Christmas trees or the lights.
I think that's what marriage is turned into, maybe because we've had so many bad examples of failed marriages that people are like, well, why even go through with it? You can just live together. What are you guys, fucking stupid? You know, you don't have to do that. And it's like, well, you're right. I don't know, man. It's like we're devaluing like all of our traditions.
Without using marriage as the specific one, that's what it is that that's just a tradition is marriage. But we're devaluing all traditions as a whole.
Yeah, right. And I just don't know how that could be like helpful for the ones coming up, you know? Like they're going to feel like they're a little bit lost. And maybe people didn't like the tradition, but you went through it with it, you know? And something like the tradition was, hey, you may not know what to do, and you feel like modern man, I think, feels lost and without purpose.
Okay, so like...
and he fulfills his purpose in a lot of shit that isn't his purpose. And if people say there is no purpose while trying to sell you some shit.
I think like if you have a group of buddies and they razz you and you feel bad about it, but it's a close-knit group that it doesn't really hurt you or scar you, it builds you up so that if some a-hole were to do that out in the world, it wouldn't be such a big deal. But we've convinced everybody that that's like abuse or bad or whatever for if somebody in your own, for your own crew to test you like that. Where what I'm talking about is from a social norm perspective, building it up from like as a self-defense protocol, not because it's what you can.
Yeah, I think even in groups of men, let's call it in war or something.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'm saying that you're taking it to the outer level, and we need to bring it down to almost like a parental level, not like a job or a military or you know.
Well, sure. I mean, there used to be discipline.
Yeah, there you go. Because the word itself sounds bad, sounds negative. When I hear it, I go, don't try to discipline me, you son of a bitch. But if you have
it's something to do with disciple, which is somebody who follows in an order. And if everybody just wants to recreate the order every single time, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, good luck with that.
Yeah, it makes it hard to have a baseline or something.
Well, you don't get to have a baseline.
Yeah.
You know?
What it is society has projected into your mind that you're supposed to hit X amount of these goals or you suck. And if you know, if you do or don't, that's your prerogative. But it's definitely a system already laid out for you to fall right into, which is like, hey, do you have this stuff by this age? If not, loser, you suck. Might as well not even try. And then that becomes a system of like easy picking. You're now the low fruit for the machine to just flick and it falls right off the fucking stem, you know?
Well, let me ask you kind of a follow-up question that is a little bit different. And let's try to put a positive swing on it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Is there variety in what we can do as far as the expectation goes?
Jesus Christ, yeah. The whole fucking problem is that instead of you or me leading our people, we're letting Netflix and Walmart and all these people show you a picture of a smiling guy wearing their shirt, and the guy's like, so if I buy this shirt, I'll feel this way, and there's nobody around them, no friend, no family, no whatever, to be like, are you kidding? That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard you say. If I buy a shirt, am I going to feel like the guy on the side?
Oh, absolutely. I kind of equate it back to the game of chess. Like, there is rules to chess, but there's almost an infinite amount of possibilities that we can go through in it.
Boom, that's a great example, because that's what it is.
You know,
like
so I'm still playing by the rules. I'm still in there. I'm still...
You're hitting. You're hitting so hard because you do this all the time too. I was playing chess with my 4-year-old niece, and she just wanted to move the pieces however they wanted to go. And guess what? At one point, she just took a piece and smashed all of the pieces off of the thing, ruining the whole game that we were playing. So the whole point is like, yeah, dog, do whatever you want. That's literally what this thing is made for, is a chessboard with pieces on it. But if we're not going to play a cogent game, let me know that, because I might even be down. I was down. I literally played with the 4-year-old knowing that she's not going to be able to play. I play you knowing that you're going to beat me because you're awesome at chess, you know, but I still do it because it's a fun exercise in the game, you know?
Yeah, precisely.
And here's the thing. There's a bunch of people I could whoop their ass. So, I mean, it's not that I'm up or down. I'm just where I'm at on the scale.
Yeah, there's a variety in the game.
Yeah.
And we're never going to play the same game twice.
Yeah, but that's why that's just kind of tight, is because it's a literal game form of like cards or something, or rolling the dice or whatever. It always produces a unique, interaction or something.
Right, exactly. But the problem is that all these little quirks that make me who I am at this age, from all my experiences, everything that I've worked towards, still isn't the highest good that I have to offer. The highest good one can achieve is to love others, and that's to will the best for the other person.
Yeah, there you go. That's good.
And everybody's trying to form their own version of what the world is. And maybe the world is actually just your mind, right?
It's almost like back in the day when you had a science fair and everybody had to build a bridge, and it had to sustain a certain amount of shaking. And if it didn't, you didn't pass the test with the bridge.
Right.
So that's what this is there's a certain level that it has to be able to handle. And if it can't, it's not a valid bridge. And did you make a bridge? Yes. Did it use wooden sticks? Fuck yeah. Is it made out of the same thing as all the other bridges? Of course it is. But do we like it as much? Nah, not really, because it didn't work. Does it still look cool before it broke? I'm not saying it didn't. I'm saying that we should be building bridges to sustain bridge shit, not because they look ultra whatever. There needs to be a place where people go chill, talk about stuff, and then maybe a younger generation can view that and then use that as a palette to grow from. Because right now it's just happening from the TV and the phone and the internet and stuff. And even if it does happen in places, I feel like they're set up so much from a business perspective that the only people they're promoting the product are people trying to enslave you to like alcohol or a fucking membership fee or.
But yeah, you're right. And here's the crazy thing. Is that a lot of these things have been discussed for millennia. And we just decided that they don't matter because people, we're more advanced now.
If there used to be a cultural knowledge about it and that gets lost, then of course people are going to use it again. Like I said, the only way to combat it is to control what you can control, which is smaller groups. That's all it is. Is just like it's fun to talk about these things, but even somebody who has a really great point about how something should be or shouldn't be, unless they're going to make legislation about it or make a YouTube video that inspires somebody to make legislation about it, it's just pointless rhetoric about a topic.
You can't legislate human behavior. I just think that is complete. I just don't believe that. I don't think the government can tell you what your moral behavior is. You can tell me that you will kill me if I don't, but I mean, you're just essentially fulfilling the thing on the other side.
Well, it's just that I think that not they or whatever, but that the knowledge gets lost. And because I'll be reading the old Tattoo Time magazines from like the 80s, and they'll talk about stuff that we're experiencing now that they had already experienced then, but he comments on how no one talked about it, so everybody forgot about it, so it was able to recycle itself, and it's happening again. So it just proves the point that there's that old adage, history repeats itself.
Well, the biggest problem I see is that we think we're beyond these men of ancient times, that we're not like them, that we're better because we have technology and we're so moral now. There is a fulfillment in work type deal, man, or doing the thing, whatever it is, that you'll even be satisfied just from doing the thing. Like, who's happier? A guy who is out producing something, or somebody who sits at home watching Netflix all day? And maybe in the beginning, like, yeah, man, a guy who watches Netflix all day, he's way more on it. But I think overall he's less productive. He has less value. He has less drive. And is, even down to his physical body, it's like a disconnect there. So, I mean, I don't know, man. It's like, I think we are body soul composites. This is a bit of a different topic. And whenever we're not fulfilling both, people know it. And I think we're missing the body part in our modern society because of all the computers, all the office jobs, all the video games, all the sitting in front of screens all day.
It's a misplaced physicality, kind of, almost. It's almost like being in solitary confinement would mess you up, and especially if you didn't even realize that you were in solitary confinement, it would really mess you up because you're like, why am I feeling so shitty when I'm around all these people? But what if you never talk to them and stuff? It would become this very strange kind of unnatural.
It's like you're an invisible man or something.
And that's kind of what that shit is online. Basically, you're just like this. In some ways it works well for anonymity, but in a lot of ways it just messes your interaction up because
and we know this to be true because we'll ask somebody like, hey, how you doing? And they'll say good, and then you can tell they're not. There's this off with their body, and it's like, we know that there's a mismatch. It's like, no, I don't think you are. I think there's a group of people that don't want the attention on themselves still. And then there's a complete opposite group of people who want all the attention on themselves. I often think that we actually want the same things as people. You want a comfort. Oh no, you definitely do.
There's a name. You definitely do. There's a name for it. It's like Pavlov's hierarchy of needs or something. And it's I feel like I've even come up with a simpler list of like 4 things, and it's basically looking at it like through the needs of a child or the want of a child.
Sure. It's like you say this all the time. Like, they just do the world in a way where it's like you buy this, $500 toy and you're playing with the box. 100. And it's like this cliche that nobody thinks about, but it's like, no. There is the essence of what we should be doing.
Yeah, all you need is the want to play and the resource to kind of give you that. ability to participate. You're not going to go
enslave yourself to buy the new PlayStation 17 Professional Edition that's no different than the last one that you don't even care about. What hits harder, the guy that plays all the video games all the time, or the guy that goes to his friend's house and only plays every once in a while, and he's playing with his friend and he doesn't experience it all the time? It could be some lesser version, and he's like having an amazing time because he's not completely inundated in one direction.
Well, it's like going to the carnival can be super lame, or it can be totally awesome depending on who you're there with, why you're there. If you're there to like take your girlfriend and get a kiss from her, or you're there to take your 5-year-old son for the first time ever. Each one of those has a different
both amazing experiences.
Yeah, and both have different drivers. But like you said, what are you driving for? But here's the thing: don't go with your girlfriend and bring your new girlfriend and bringing your 5-year-old son, because you're like trying to do one and the other. You know what I mean? And do bring them both. But I'm trying to give you the example of like, I think we've lost like making there an appropriate time for an appropriate thing, and it's like, well, everything should be allowed at all times. Because here's the other thing: like, I the other day woke up and watched a crazy too extreme movie to be watching at 9 a.m. You know.
And then the rest of the day is flat.
It left me feeling shocked and blown away, and I'm like, why did I do that? You know, and I just feel like that's kind of a thing, is the access is right there. It's just like, hey, you want to watch this movie that you always said you liked? And I'm sure.
I agree. And we don't often think of things like that. Like, there was this movie called Barbershop, and it had this sign up that was like, no rap music before like 11 or 12.
I love that. That's amazing. He's like, can we please just chill and have coffee before we get bumping?
Yeah,
I love that. That's amazing.
You know, it's like, could you imagine waking up, drinking Red Bull, and putting on Skrillex first thing in the morning?
I used to be driving to construction or whatever, and you'd pull up to somebody who I always assumed they were still going from the night before, but there was definitely a construction guy who pulled up with a sandstorm blasting or whatever, still ready to rip.
I don't even know what that is. You're cooler than me.
No, I think that was that, you know, that the famous techno song that everybody has heard before. You'd recognize
that
it.
Little,
yeah.
Yeah.
You'd recognize it.
Yeah. Damn it, I want to go party.
Hell yeah.
Do you have a 98 Honda Civic we can ride around and
oh my god, please? It would be the best of times.
I mean, that's kind of a bigger question though. It's like, well, is there free will or not? You know, and there's this argument that people say no, there isn't. And that's fine, but we don't treat each other as if that's a true statement, you know?
Yeah.
You wouldn't punch me in the nose and then I'm like, I just had it coming to me, bro. I mean, there's no free will. You know, we have a justice system that's based off of the idea that you do have free will and agency. I mean, I don't really understand quite I've tried to, like the idea that you do not have free will. And I think it's something based upon like everything from the past has a measurement of change on the present. So therefore you don't know if it's you or not. But I don't think that quite fits the bill for me, you know? Or maybe that you have limitations, like you can't jump to the moon or something, so therefore you don't have free will. Because I believe we treat each other as if we do. You know?
Is there a logical, I mean, because I also believe in free will, so is there a logical explanation for how it wouldn't be like that? Can you steel man this for us?
On how there is?
I'm just not sure. What's the point you're trying to make with it? Is that like what? Like, because I believe in free will for sure, and if you do too, are you telling?
I believe that we live life in a way that we treat each other like we do have free will. And I think there's extreme margins, and there is things where we say like, well, this person's childhood led up to this, and his aunt just died, and his car broke down, and he fucking flipped out, you know?
Yeah.
But that happens to Steve, he gets crazy. It happens to Bob, he's like, cool, you know, now I'm gonna get my shit together and I'm gonna take care of this. So there's different ways of viewing it. You know, but I don't buy the idea that we don't have free will. And I guess the argument for we don't have free will is that they're saying there's this there's a chained series of events that led up to you doing your decision that means that you did not have a complete freedom of choice because it's inflicting situations on you.
I do think that there's a bunch of factors that would play into that. There is probably a giant plan going on. but that every moment is yours to choose with what to do. And it's maybe it is leading you to some finality, whatever. But I think that the vehicles that you get there in are going to be your own regardless. And that's the important part. You know what I mean? Because you can't control the other things. So who cares about it, you know?
I think it's more a philosophical question without an answer. You know, it's just a good way to kind of gauge how people view society. You know, it's like, I think the same question was posed in The Matrix, you know? Remember, he was like, do you believe in destiny? And, you know, I think he was like, no, or something, you know, like, I'm going to choose my own way. You know, perhaps that's right, you know, or at least that it's like, now you're responsible for the choice you made. And no matter what, I think that's a healthier way to view the world than blaming somebody for every choice made or not made or whatever it is at the onset of it not going the way you wanted, you know?
I think it's something maybe more akin to like, your parents don't want you to do something because maybe like you're grounded, so you're not allowed to go to the prom, and then you go anyway. Like you're going to get in trouble. It's going to change all the stuff, but you were still able to do the thing. But the overarching understanding was you were not supposed to do that. That was what the law said, you know, but there's always a choice, and maybe you're cool with the ramification, you know, with the what's going to happen afterwards. I think it's like it was this, basically you have your regular human, then this tool came along that can help you do things better, and you start applying it to the obvious things that you should do better. And I think just maybe over time we've started applying it to everything, and there's certain things that you shouldn't use this tool to get better at because it robs you of like some human interaction or some goal setting or whatever, you know? So it's like, I have to chop this wood, I have an axe, and then I get a log splitting machine, and then I hire some company to do it, you know? Like the axe splitting, I'm not going to be able to do when I'm like 80, so it's good that I have the log splitting thing. And then if you let somebody else do it, maybe they rip you off, maybe they don't do it how you want it. You know what I mean? It's always that 3-layer thing, and you got to be able to figure out what the medium layer is, you know, with whatever the problem is. It's almost like, what's that word where you have so many choices that you don't pick anything? It's basically kind of like that, but for like spiritual shit or philosophical shit, you know? There's so many choices that you're like, I just won't even be spiritual. And you're like, what do you mean?
Or you just have this fatigue. Yeah, you have you know, you can't choose, you can't pick or whatever. But even I've always known that like not choosing is choosing.
Oh, exactly. I say that about tattoos.
You know,
all the
so
time.
it's like, if we're forced to choose, that's fine, because you're going to be, but never stop thinking. You know, if you're forced into a thing, especially with camp, like, don't ever stop thinking, though. You know, it's like, especially us in the West, it's like everything is so politicized that you have people screaming their head off about things, and then you go press them on it just a little bit. Not to be rude, not to be ugly, not to hurt them, but to try to understand what their even thing is, and they don't even know. They couldn't tell you. And like I said, I see it at church. You know, I go to church and I hear people say things. I'm like, what does that mean? And they're like, well, I don't know. It's like, so why are you, you know, not that you need to be in the definition, but what do you even mean, you know? And do we do that regularly? Are we using words? Are we doing things that we just have no business using? You know?
We'll give you an example. So there's like two people watching a football game. It's maybe a husband and a wife, and they like spending that time together because it's something they can both enjoy. Maybe the husband knows all the terms, all the slang.
Exactly,
and the wife uses them sometimes, but she cares more
you
about.
You're such a misogynist.
But she cares
How
about.
How come she doesn't know about football and he does?
Well, and do that. That's cool. Flip it. No, and flip it, because like for whoever's listening, flip it. I'm never meaning to do it that way, but what I'm trying to say is that. I think that it is the same thing where you're maybe wanting just more to participate than actually caring about what the subject matter is, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think we just
but you can get into some hairy situations that way.
Yeah, that.
You know, because I mean, I think there's a lot of people who join up with things that just wanted to participate. They just wanted to be welcomed. They just wanted to be in the crowd.
I think that's the core thing that we keep talking about, or I keep talking about, is the tribe. They split us up, so you're constantly trying to reestablish your tribe. Always. Unless you're the lucky person out there that hangs with their family all the time, and not only their family, but like 5 friends also come over that your family loves. That's the ultimate human thing, is because you're all supporting each other and on the same vibe, you know. And it doesn't have to be that in depth. It could be a friend group or you know, people who meet up once a month to talk about books and shit. Who knows? Providing those examples. Like I said, whenever I used to go to shows, those were always these little kind of semi-dangerous events that when you did come back unscathed, it was like you were so pumped and grateful and for the whole thing. What do we care about? What are we grateful for? Everything is like brought right to your house, so of course you don't give a shit about anything anymore. You know, there's
there's way less. I mean, there's way more immediate kind of
satisfaction, gratification, whatever.
Yeah, and you know, of course, people want that, but I mean, even down to our health. In our relationships, it really kind of seems like the onus is off of you to try and puts it always on the other person. How is it that we can tell people that there is value in, let's call it, tradition? Do we just have to let things go off the rails so much for people to see it? Because even if you're like, I don't believe in that and whatever, you're probably still going to be doing a tradition or doing something that already happened before, even in spite of the thing I'm telling you. This is what we do.
I'll give you two things. That Thai capoeira fighting, it was basically like, hey, you're slaves, you're not allowed to fight. And they're like, oh, no, we're not fighting, dog, we're just dancing. And the next thing you know...
We're having culture dancing, yeah.
Next thing you know, the fucking ninjas. And then the other one isn't like... some type of, I was watching that Oh Brother Where Art Thou, and like those kind of like chain gang chanting things like is like a way to be together, keep harmony, even though you're in a spot that sucks fat dicks, you know what I mean? So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's just that's like I said, it's a natural human thing that'll always happen no matter what, unless the guy comes along with the gun and points it in your back and says no more singing or whatever. That I think it's always going to happen as a natural thing.
I think the real monster sees that is a religious experience, and he wants to take that away from them. You know, so I really do think we should be pushing ourselves in a matter of spirituality that is good. You know, how can you love somebody for their good, not your own? And I mean, I don't even know if people deal with that question, man. I really don't.
The iPhone is the complete antithesis to that. I, me first, me first.
Right, me first. And I understand in a way of like, yeah, put your mask on so that you can, you know, survive and then help others put their mask on, you know? So it's like, yeah, maybe set your hierarchy right first so that then you can help somebody else. Have a measurement of self before you can go measuring it up against somebody else. And
I think that's a good
I'm just saying we can't get away from it, you know, and even if you reject it out of spite, you're still going to fulfill it. You know, I don't really know how people feel about that. You know, I think people want to just think they're the masters of their own domain. And it's like, well, you are in a way, but there's always a puppet master up at the top. I don't think there's things that are new. I don't think that we're super special, unique peoples. Even in these things that we think are us being free and us being ourselves, it's like, is it though? Is you smoking cigarettes and drinking beer really you being free? Because it sounds like you're a slave to beer and cigarettes.
Freedom of choice, I guess, you know?
Yeah, but that's not, I mean...
It's all business, baby. The world is a stage. It's all kind of trying to figure out how to put you in a box, how to put you in a tube so they can use you. And that's the whole point, is it's like you're supposed to be using that energy to build your own little fortress, garden, whatever, but instead you pay it to some invisible shit talker, man, you know, every day. The whole point is to split us apart to try and stop figuring out the problem. Who cares what it's called? Just look at the problem. And if it's a demon, fuck that sucks. And if it's a virus, fuck that sucks. Either one sucks. So let's focus on the suck, not what to call it.
Yeah, we'll look at what's going on. Exactly.
No, because we're not trying to fix the problem. We're trying to yell at the other one for not calling the problem the right word, which is crazy. I think the whole world is kind of like pre-prescribed. Like, here's the thing. I was coming up with this thought the other day where, like, I think the whole reasons that vacation is a thing is that humans have an innate lust for adventure. And if you do the vacation thing, you save up the whole year, you spend all your money on a nice hotel and whatever, but you don't actually go experience the culture. So you're almost not achieving the goal. Therefore, every year you're left wanting to keep going back to not achieve the goal, you know? And you might go there and have some food. You might go there and buy a trinket, but it's not the same as an adventure, which is like putting yourself in a little bit of danger, putting yourself in unfamiliar scenarios, meeting the actual locals, you know what I mean? Like some real shit. Which,
or like, even once that time comes to where you're not able to partake on the adventure yourself, that you're now transitioning into facilitating adventure for others.
Boom, baby.
As a wiser, older person.
DFTW, yeah, you.